to Droppin Gems, Time for Change Tuesdays. Every other Tuesday at 6 p.m. I'm all flying my decor, you know what I'm saying? We'll drop a little hint of where I got my little custom jacket from, but it is my birthday in 3 days. And I had to just come on here and be a little spiffy, a little bit different. So I'm extremely excited to have you. I did talk about how us Libras are very good business owners. So shout out to all the Libras and happy birthday to me and all of you all. Okay. So I know we've been getting to the meat of being a good leader. We've had multiple conversations about being a leader. You probably tired of me saying leader. But if you ain't ready, I'm gonna get you ready. Okay. We have too much that we gotta work on. And so of course we've been talking about the personality characteristics and how you communicate. But in communication comes decision making, right? So you have to make some tough and hard decisions as a leader. And so I'm going to talk about decision making and how, I'm going to be looking at my computer today. You know, this good old MacBook that I pay for to use. It's greatness. So we have to make sure that we talk about decision making because it's going to be so important for you to make good choices. Okay, I'm not going to say better choices because you probably have made good choices in the past, but you're going to be making better choices. It's going to be very important for you to ride a wave of having decisional balance throughout the whole entire time you are in business. Okay, so I'm Tonya, really, your host, right? We all are aware the clinician's perspective of business. So I am here from Time for Change Consulting to give you consulting to make sure that you are ready and equipped to be an effective leader, especially after you're rolling out and implementing different projects and different things that you have signed up to do. All right. So decision making is so critical, y'all, in leadership. Every single day you are making a decision or you are faced with a decision. What decision making really means is it's beyond choosing, right? You're not just choosing this decision over that decision or this person over that person or whatever. You have little things that you always have to consider before you make a decision that's bigger than the little things. Even down to your hiring practices, which we talked about how people have to match your personality and stuff, but we also didn't get a chance to just talk about the money. And, you know, if this person is going to be feasible, what is this in the market, right? It is definitely a psychology in making choices. You've got to pay attention to your psychological, here, there, with everything that's going on. Even the decisions that you made 3 years ago, as a leader, it affects you moving forward. So it's going to be so important for you to be paying attention to that. It's a science behind making choices. It shouldn't just be a choice. You shouldn't just pick, I know we was going with the example of the cleaning. You shouldn't just pick a cleaning product. You should pick the best cleaning product for your money and what is going to work for you and your company. Okay? So, types of decisions. You have strategic versus operational, quick versus deliberate. All right? Strategic is kind of like what the name is, right? You are doing a little bit more digging for it to be what it is that you need to be. All right. I know that I'm making strategic decisions as of right now that will affect the company next year. I already know that. You are always strategically working ahead of yourself as a leader. Lead, right? It's in the word. So whatever you're doing, if you're not working on stuff that is ahead of the game for you and your people, you failed. You should not be working on the everyday operations that they are working on because that's what you hired them for. Okay? So as a leader, CEO, you need to always project and always be strategic and always look ahead. That is how you make the best decisions because the everyday operations and the things that people are going through, all right, you can make a decision on what they're doing now because you already know that you're looking at this type of opportunity or that type of opportunity, or you're going to go to this state and you're going to go to that state. So it ain't no point of us even entertaining that. So I, as a leader, I can say, no. You putting too much energy into that. Don't do that. Or if my staff is writing curriculum or what have you, and I say, oh, okay, this is good curriculum. If it's aligned with some of the things that I'm going to be doing in the future, right, then I could be paying attention to what is to come. So it's always something to come. As a leader, it's always something to come. You cannot be in the weeds of the work so much so that you don't pay attention to what is to come or what is coming that you got to be prepared for. You should be operating in that way at all times. I'm glad we got all this stuff operating and we about to have students and we about to do this and that. But sometimes the operations get me in the weeds and I have to disappear and be somewhere else because my mind has got to make sure that we still moving ahead. Regardless if the government owes me this amount of money, regardless of if I'm not able to pay the company's bills right now, regardless of if I have to always look ahead because I know eventually that is going to come. But if I'm not looking ahead strategically, then I have failed. So strategic, you're always making strategic decisions, but as a leader, you're always looking ahead, okay? So make sure that you're paying attention to that because you can make operational, decisions. You can say, yes, I want you to do this. No, I want you to do that. No, can you move over here? Oh, no, we got 50 people. We need to call this many people. Hey, you know what? We're going to do a calling group. All of us going to do a calling group. We're all going to call. Hey, we're going to do this. You can make those operational things, right? Them decisions. But it's very important that they are based on something strategic. I don't know no decision that I have made as of yet in Time for Change that was not strategic. It has to be strategic. Even if it's operational, I still be thinking about the thoughts of it being strategic and being ahead in the next year or putting us in position to be ahead in the next year. I'm always looking for partnerships. I'm always looking for different things. I'm always developing different programs. I'm always thinking about all of these different things. And then I run it past my staff and I say, this is what we're going to do. So that way we're all forward thinking, even though we're in the midst of operating. All right. You could be quick and make a decision because sometimes it will just happen like that. Or you could be deliberate where you sitting down, you writing that executive summary, you making sure that all of these things is done. You feel like this is a good program. You want to add maybe that it's going to be 3 times a week and not 5 times a week, but you want to extend the hours. You're going to do this, you're going to do that. And you sitting there and you deliberately working on it to make it as a great decision to hit submit. Because as we all know, to hit submit on a grant or to hit submit on a contract is a deliberate decision, right? But it was a lot of different decisions that went into it. Like we talked about, you know what I'm saying? We talked about all of these things. It was a deliberate decision to make sure that you had whatever percentage as a CEO that you were going to get. You had to make that decision. You had to say, you know what? I'm going to need a program manager, but I need my program manager to make this amount of money. I got to make sure I budget this in. I need my person to stay around. I can't lose my person. Dang, Tonya, you just hired that person maybe 5 days ago. Yeah, I know. And I still am working on keeping that person next year. So my decision is to put that 3% in because I need that cost of living. So you got to strategically already be thinking about all of these things and deliberately. So I agree that you have to be strategic because every operational decision comes from the strategicism that you will have, if that's even a word. Okay? Strategicism, Jim. But when you have a quick decision, you make those quick decisions and you got to trust your gut. But it makes it easier for you to trust and make these quick decisions when you have already been strategically looking ahead. So basically, change agents, don't not look ahead after you are rolling out and implementing. If you do, then you have failed. If you don't, you have failed. Some common challenges in decision making, right? So information overload and analysis paralysis. Oh my goodness. In government meetings, it happens all the time. They be talking, y'all. They be talking. And what I do to support that is I keep a piece of paper and pencil, notebook right beside me. I have been up against 12 different people answering questions. But every time I answered a question, I had to make a strategic decision. That is hard. That is not something that is like, oh, okay, you made a decision. No, that is, Tonya, you have to think through all of the policies that you wrote. What did you say that you were going to do with this? What did you say when you wrote this executive summary? Did you know that this is what it is? Who was in this role? Did you know who was going to be teaching this class? Can you tell them about who's going to be teaching the class? What's their background? What's their qualifications? How do you know that? You know that because guess what? Everything that you study, everything that you write, everything that you make a decision on, everything that we've been talking about, even when you're hiring and your self-awareness and your personality has got to be connected to that strategic question that you're answering. And it's making a strategic decision. Oh, this ain't for the weak. This ain't for the weak. And I'm going to tell you, when I had people asking me all of those questions, after the fact, it was, oh God, y'all. It was a lot. I had to, I had to take a deep breath. And then I had to think about it. And I said, God damn, you good. I said, you good. You did good. I had to pat myself on the back because I did do good, y'all. Now, was it a lot? Yes. But I knew every single thing about my company. I knew every single thing about my instructors. I knew every single thing about the regulations that I'm up against and that governs my company. I knew every single thing that I was up against. I did not. So every time as a leader and making decisions, you are strategically studying. All this stuff that we're writing and all this stuff that I've been talking about, all this hoopla that you think it is, guess what? If you ain't hip, they're going to chew you up. But they ain't chewing me up. I'm going to let you know right now. It's going to be me versus them. All right? And I say that with all due respect. But the reality of the situation is when you're making these decisions, they have to be strategic this whole way for you to be able to stand in front of whoever asks you anything about your company, what you represent, and what policies and procedures are. Because they coming. Compliance is coming. Quality assurance is coming. Auditors is coming. I had to tell somebody the other day, I said, I have all of these contracts. I said, I have all of this stuff. I've always been prepared to answer all of the questions. I've always been prepared. You're not going to trip me up. You're not going to have me break the law. Because even in some of those situations, I could be breaking the law and then they looking at me like, oh, so she broke the law? Oh, she don't know what she know. She thinks she know what she know. Nah, you thought I didn't know what I knew. I don't know. Y'all might feel like I'm talking in code, but I'm going to let you know it's all about the gems over here. So if you got another follow-up question, please be sure to ask me, because when I tell you, I'm just talking real. I'm just giving it to you real. That you're going to be approached and you're going to be asked these questions, and you're going to have to make decisions that are going to be difficult decisions, but they need to be aligned. Because if you make the wrong decision that's not in line with the policies and the procedures that you signed up for to be in when you got that rolling out implementation, and you chose to be a leader and a CEO, if you ain't following through with all the policies and procedures and you don't own it like it's your own, you ain't ready. You ain't ready. All right? It's beyond choosing. So, in the event that you are overload, right? You get that overload. If you get overload of information and you're not one of those people, I'm not. You're not one of the people that who could just listen. Like, you haven't been listening to me, but have you been writing stuff down? Or are you just listening, and taking in the information? Now, you got to figure out what your style is, right? It's all about being self-aware. It's all about being a leader. What kind of leader are you? You will get pressure from stakeholders. You will get pressure from government contracts. You will get pressure from time constraints. You will get pressure from all of the things related to executing a decision. So you have to know exactly when you need to make an appropriate decision. And when you make an appropriate decision, it's because you got them policies and procedures. This ain't a birthday party. I'm still working. I'll party later. You got to understand, this is business. Fear of failure and accountability. Like, some people get so stuck in their decisions that they fear that they're going to fail. I'm going to tell you this. When you know the policies and the procedures and everything, you don't have to fear. You make that decision. You make the decision and you execute. When you have it in line with your hiring practices, when you have it in line with the government, when you have it in line with everything that you said that you was going to be doing, you set out to do, nobody could tell you that you was wrong. You have to exude. We talked about this. Yes. Exude the confidence and the ability. But the only way you get that confidence is if you read. AI is not going to be there for those nuances and those decision making. You can't be a CEO if you got to rely on AI. I'm not going to say it again. I'm not. Because that's why I'm sitting here before you, because I'm not a computer sitting here before you. I am a person who has lived and who has ran a company for almost 10 years. You've got to understand that you got all of this going for you. You know how to do this, you know how to do that, but when you write that contract, you get that grant, you need to be on point. You need to know everything that's in that piece of paper. You need to develop a policy as it relates to everything. I talked about it and rolling out and implementing. Make sure that you watch that show. I'm not going to keep talking about it, but that's when you're doing your studying. That's when you're looking it up. That's what is connected to being an effective leader. And then all of the stuff being self-aware, because you got to know your style. You need to be writing down questions that you want to ask before you even make a decision. Jim, writing down things helps me understand things better. So I'm going to write down stuff all the time. But if you write down just the questions that you are trying to ask while you're listening to them, it's very important, because having 12 people in front of you and you forget your question that you was going to ask 3 statements ago. Like, I remember one time I was in a meeting, I'm in a meeting with 12 people, and they, boom, firing questions, right? And then one person fired a question, and they asked the same question that the 4th person asked me. And then the 5th person said, oh, no, we already asked that. Miss Ridley, we already know what that is. And I said, no, this person doesn't know what that is. And because this person doesn't know what that is, I'm going to take time out to answer the question again. I had to do that because I had to slow down the communication, like we talked about, to make sure that I intervene appropriately. See, all this stuff is connected because you're not going to overflow me with information and I don't get the chance to answer or to tell this person or that person what it is that they're asking of me when their question is just as important as your question. So having that piece of paper and pen and notebook down is very important. All right. The next thing I want you to make sure that you take away is how making a poor decision is not a bad thing. It just builds resilience for you to be better moving forward. You don't have to say yes to everything. And because you don't have to say yes to everything, it makes you more marketable. It makes you more unique, elite, and different from the rest. It's okay to say no. It's okay to make some decisions based on the foundations of a poor decision that you have made before. It's okay. Because if that conflict of interest got in the way that one time, it's okay because you learned from it. And I'm bringing it back up to you now and you like, yeah, I should never trust such and such. I should have never did X, Y, Z. Business and personal. We'll get into that some more too because I love to tell y'all little personal gems. Yeah, because when you're an entrepreneur, you get it all. You get it all. I would like to thank y'all for coming to Droppin' Gems every other Tuesday faithfully. Thank you so much, my change agents, for celebrating my birthday with me. I cannot be so happy. I know that some of y'all still catching up. Y'all got stuck. But I am trying to build effective leaders. And I just want to say thank you for your time. This right here means the world to me to help people. I help people, hashtag the strong way. And the reason why is because I told my brother I'm going to help as many people at a time. And that's what I plan to do. And I'm starting with you. I would like to thank you. And I also want you to comment, subscribe, like, at Time for Change Consult. Drop a comment. Tell me how good I'm doing. Tell me what other topics you want to be talking about because of, guess what? We almost have been going for a whole year, y'all. And I can't believe it, okay? But I would like to thank you for your time. And I look forward to seeing you in the next 2 weeks. All right? Y'all have a wonderful day.
What you say?